In this video, I will show you how a $5 thrift store find became this. A no-filter tabletop pond kept clean by riparian plant growth, filled with tiny creatures who keep the ecosystem going. The cylinder itself measures 20 centimeters across, and its small size makes it a perfect centerpiece at a dinner table or a kitchen island. For the bottom substrate layer, I will use Aqua soil. It doesn't have to be a thick layer, roughly 2 centimeters will be more than enough for this build. After making sure I had a fairly even layer, I sprayed it down to expel trapped air and wiped the glass off for visibility. To trap the nutrients at the bottom of the system, I cap it off with a layer of fine sand. Apart from looking good, this layer makes nutrients enter the water column in a more slow and controlled way over time. Here I even it all out completely. No slope or depth, as I will have another visual focus in this scape. The first type of hardscape for this one are these granite rocks I found on the side of a road, completely for free to keep a budget theme going here. These beautiful rocks will be the foundation to my centerpiece island. I just love all the textures on them. Now, it's time to scape. I was fairly sure what I wanted it to look like, but I always end up trying a couple of different layouts anyway. I do that because sometimes you don't see that perfect angle right away. It might take a couple of tries. To make things a bit more stable, I glue the rocks together using cotton balls and super glue. The cotton makes an instant bond and the rocks are fused together for a solid hardscape. I add the cotton between the contact points and then add the super glue. To cover it up, I pour some sand on it all, but it will all be covered in plants anyway. I then repeat this in a few select spots. And this is what the first stage of the hardscape looks like. The second hardscape element will be driftwood. These pieces are leftovers from other builds. After playing around with different designs, I anchored the wood down the same way as before, with cotton and glue. What do you think? Can you see my vision yet? After filling up the pond with a little bit of water, it's time to start planting. I'm using flame moss as a way to cover up white spots from the superglue. Over time, it will grow and cover more of the scape as well. After adding the moss, it's time for the epiphytic plants. These are Bucephalandra and Anubias. And first up is Anubias nana Petite. These plants don't need substrate and can be wedged into the hardscape. The roots will anchor the plant in place as it grows, but superglue is also a good trick to make them stick to a surface instantly. Like here for example, where the gap is a little bit too big. Just a dab of superglue is enough. To cover up the glue, I put some more moss on the white spots. It looks a bit messy right now, but it will look good in just a week or two. Next up is some dwarf hairgrass for the bottom portion of the scape. I ripped the plant into tiny tufts to get an instant spread along the bottom. This will really help the scape look good quicker. After splitting them up, this is what it looks like. I use my long tweezers to get the roots into the sand and then gently shake the tweezers around to make sure the plant isn't holding on and comes back up again as I remove the tweezers. Did someone say tweezers? I continue planting the grass with a space of a few centimeters, and over time they'll merge into a single carpet of grass along the entire bottom. That's the grass done. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video so far. It's free and it really helps me out. Thank you. Next up are some crypts, and they will also be planted in select places on the bottom, as they need substrate to grow too. Crypts can melt off in the beginning, but if they survive the transition to a new tank, they will thrive after some time. Really good looking plants. Now it's time for the last aquatic epiphyte, the Bucephalandra, which is the red one. The reds of this beautiful plant is going to complement the scape in a great way, at least I think so. As it is an epiphyte, I can just wedge it between the rocks like I did with the Anubias. Now, Time to start planting the island, and I'm filling it with terrestrial plants. I picked out a few plants that do well growing in water and do a good job as a substitute to a mechanical filter. The roots will be what filters the water, taking nutrients out of the tank for the plants to use for healthy growth. This is a Syngonium, a fantastic riparian plant that is cheap and easy to come by in most garden centers around the world. First, I intertwine the roots between the driftwood, making sure the plant is not below the final water level. If too much of the plant is submerged, it will die a quick death. To make sure it won't fall before rooting in on its own, I secure it with a drop of superglue that I cover with a bit of sand, just like before. I want the center of the island to look as lush as possible, and ferns are the perfect choice to achieve this look. This one fit perfectly in between two rocks. To make it look even better, a second Syngonium was added to the opposite piece of driftwood, also reinforced with some superglue and sand, like before. For variation, I ripped another fern from my bumblebee millipede setup. I will leave a link to that video in the top corner right now. Don't skip the rest of this one though. Right? You promise? Good. Another plant that does really well as a marginal plant is Ficus pumila. I've had this plant climb right up my walls in previous aquarium, so I know it works. I want this scape to be very detailed, so I mixed in some spiderwood twigs to make the root systems of the plant look even more grown in, and I really think it works. I could wedge most of these between rocks and driftwood, but you might need to glue them down if they start floating around. Can you see what's spiderwood and what's real living roots? As the scape matures, I hope the illusion will come in full effect. To give even more of a cohesive look, I sprinkle black gravel similar to the bigger rocks across the entire bottom. This type of detailing really makes a scape look more naturalistic, I think. How far do you go in detailing your scapes? Give the people your best tips in the comments. That would be awesome. The same thing was done using a larger grained, coarser sand to go on top of the fine sand I started out with. I mentioned tiny details, and they really elevate the textures of a scape like this, or any scape for that matter. And just like with my other no filter builds, I took the remainder of the water from an established tank full of Microfauna. This water holds so many creatures like snails, insects and microscopic crustaceans, and they will all help maintain this little ecosystem for a long time. Lastly, I added some floating plants, as they look good and they help out with filtering out excess nutrients as well. A few hours after scaping, the tiny world has already come to life. Want to help name the crew that lives here? I'll set up a poll where you can vote for your favorites in the comments below. Hopefully this scape will be a long-term success. If so, I will give you an update after a year or so definitely subscribe to not miss that. I really think this setup has what it takes to survive, and while I can't promise anything, I'll link my most successful no filter build in the end screen so that you can make up your own opinion based on my previous work. That's it for this one, folks. Thank you so much for sticking around to get to the final montage of the finished build. As I said before, please subscribe if you like what you see, and leave a like or a comment to show YouTube my work has value. Thanks again for watching, and don't miss my next video.